Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Monday, August the 11th, 2025. I am Bishop Darrell Watkins, the senior minister here at the Sunshine Cathedral. With me today is my husband, Bishop Robert Griffin, and joining us is Reverend Kevin Tisdall. We are the Queer God Squad. Visit sunshinecathedral.org to learn more about us. Queer God Squad was created by Hotspots Happening Out to support our mission to explore the value of faith in the LGBTQ community. There's no other progressive queer religious panel discussion show like this in the whole world. You can support this program by liking and sharing it.
In 2025, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Hotspots magazine, the 5th anniversary of Queer News Tonight with nearly 10,000 stories and 10 million views in 2024. We produced the 25th anniversary of Stonewall Pride, and we will produce Pride Fed Diversity Pride in August, and Pride Fort Lauderdale next February.
We are the largest nonprofit LGBTQ media organization in America, and we encourage you to support our mission to inform, entertain, and educate our community and allies.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral Perspective. Queer God Squad discusses how Reverend William R. Johnson's 1972 ordination changed church history. Reverend William R. Johnson holds a pioneering place in religious history as the first openly gay man to be ordained by a mainstream Christian denomination in the United States in 1972, namely the United Church of Christ. This groundbreaking act challenged theological and societal norms, paving the way for greater inclusivity within religious institutions. For historical context, Metropolitan Community Churches was founded by and with an affirming outreach to LGBTQ plus people in 1968. The Episcopal Church ordained their first openly lesbian priest in 1977. The Unitarian Universalists first ordained an openly gay person in 1979, and the Quakers first affirmed marriage equality in 1982. For the United Church of Christ to ordain a gay man in 1972 places them in the thick of early firsts for full affirmation of LGBTQ persons. Johnson's ordination was not merely a personal milestone, it was a powerful statement of affirmation for LGBTQ plus individuals within faith communities. His ministry, therefore, carried an added layer of advocacy. He bravely navigated prejudice and resistance, demonstrating commitment to his faith and his identity. Reverend Johnson's courage ignited a vital conversation about acceptance, love, and the evolving nature of religious inclusion, leaving an enduring legacy for future generations. I remember, I was in 1972, I was 6 years old, and so I don't remember that. But then just a few years later in 77, I think it was, when the Episcopal priest was ordained, that was in the I remember seeing that in the local newspaper. It was a scandal, of course, but I remember that, and I remember that article saying that this had happened once before in the United Church of Christ. So even though I don't remember his happening, the next big one that happened referred to it, and I do remember that. So so it was a big deal because Metropolitan Community Churches was founded in 1968, October the 6th, 1968, which was 9 months before Stonewall. So, and then there had been some other things before that, and shortly after that, trying to be inclusive of or embracing of LGBTQ plus people, but it didn't hit the mainstream churches, the established churches. The United Church of Christ is the common 4 denominations that became 2, and those 2 that became 1. So if you take what they all were before they were UCC goes back to almost the Protestant Reformation. So it represents a long historic tradition. So for them to do that, and really only 4 years later, after MCC had done it, and for them to be the first mainstream people to do it, that is huge in history. Basically, this is the descendants of the Puritans. Honestly, if Presbyterians are the descendants of the first Calvinists, and Lutherans are the descendants of Luther, UCC traces within some of the churches that gathered together to become the UCC go back to the Puritans. So these are the descendants of the Puritans being the first people to ordain a gay person. That's huge. And that shows you the movement, I mean, if you have a very high pneumatology at all, the movement of the Spirit, that even within ironclad traditions and rules and prejudices and societal and cultural norms, that something new can still happen. Something more inclusive, something kinder, something more loving, something recognizing people that had been absolutely vilified, demonized, dehumanized for centuries, that can happen, and then catch on. That there is MCC, and then UCC, and then the Episcopal Church, and then the Unitarian Universalists, and then the Quakers, and then on and on. Now the USCA, the PCUSA, almost every denomination of Judaism, except for the ultra-Orthodox, that more and more, this has become the norm, but it started somewhere. And so with this brave act, not only the brave person who came forward, but then the brave conference, I guess they call them in UCC, that approved it, it really made a big statement. And that statement made a big difference. And we're still making a difference. This is still controversial in some areas of the church. And but we've gotten this far, so we've got farther to go. But it all starts with one person or one group or one place standing up and saying, this is what's right. And so if you don't think your voice makes a difference, ask Reverend Johnson.
Yeah, I think it is unique that this story pops up now, because as we are, and this show won't show until later, but we are taping this show while the UCC conference is actually happening. So it's funny that they're in conference right now out in, I think, Iowa. And so it's funny that we're talking about a history maker while their conference is going on at this particular time. And, you know, I'm thinking about all the LGBTQ people that I know are at this conference. And we're taking this back to the first person that was ordained in the UCC. And I always think it's kind of good to know your historical roots.
Yeah.
Because without knowing your historical roots, you really don't know where you come from. You really don't know where you're going sometimes. But even part of the UCC, my classmates who were UCC folks, and when I was in seminary, they had to take some different classes than I took, like languages. And one of them was like, it's not going to happen with me on Greek, and it's not going to happen with some other languages that my friend Marion had to take. It's like, and their credentialing process is unique in that if he went through it back then, God only knows how different it is today. So kudos to him for being a history maker. Kudos to the UCC for being the history foundation in the top, as you put it earlier, the top thick of the denomination that was out there advocating for justice for all, and really looking at where we've come today. And because here in 2025, we are much better because of people who went before us like this.
Profiles in courage. It is wonderful to know that someone out there is willing to put themselves forward in order to advance a conversation. So I say kudos to everyone who was involved in the original ordination, and a reminder that there's still steps that we have to take. We're not fully across the finish line. And thank you to everyone who was there first.
And that's today with the Queer God Squad.
Before we go, I invite you again to like and share this episode on your social media. And I also welcome you to find Sunshine Cathedral on Facebook or Instagram.
You can also like our bishop pages on Facebook. My page is Bishop Robert Griffin, D-Min, and Darrell's is Bishop Darrell Watkins, D-Min. We're also on TikTok. Remember to visit sunshinecathedral.org frequently. There you will find Bishop Talk, where Bishop Darrell and I interview queer religious leaders from around the world, activists and scholars. We've also had a weekly lectionary discussion that you can find on the website and on the other socials.
Thank you for joining the Queer God Squad today. We're here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ community is talking about. Sunshine Cathedral is the world's leading progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. Remember that we are all in this together, and also remember you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.